Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we are talking about the AMC all-time high, how banks are losing money, the broker's outage, and many more in this video. First, we're taking a look at this. AMC institutional at an all-time high for 2 months in a row. Q4 of 2025 box office and full year 2026 will be fire. So when we take a look at something that we've always highlighted, which is understanding, are people actually buying AMC? When you take a look at the institutional ownership, that's exactly what you'll find is that people are buying. And once again, we've always said you've got to be able to differentiate the truth and what the media is telling you. We've always seen from the media the constant FUD, the constant articles titling, you should sell AMC, you should stay away from AMC, people will never buy AMC, right? We always see those articles, but that can't be any further from the truth, because when you take a look at what's actually happening, whilst these media are telling you to sell AMC, all the institutions are secretly accumulating as much AMC as possible. And you can see it from this chart right here. And so this is what we talked about with how people, not just the apes, not just the retail, but the financial industry, the institutions, they all realize how undervalued AMC is. The only reason why it isn't talked as much as all these other stocks that are undervalued is because they know that when they start buying AMC and they make it known that AMC is undervalued, it will be at the cost of other institutions. They would want retail to get fully out of this, so that even if institutions were to blow up, it'll be only institutions who profit from this. So they're okay with one institution blowing up and all the money go to these other institutions, than for one institution to blow up and the money to go to the retail. And that's why they are scared to make it known that they are accumulating AMC and how undervalued AMC is. When you take a look at, you can see this, they hate AMC over $3. So we've seen the constant suppression from the short sellers, how they're trying to obviously prevent us from going above $3. You can see we're down 5% today, but that's obviously because of the constant suppression that we've talked about. Once again, you can take a look at the FTDs, you can take a look at the dark pools, you'll find all sorts of evidence and data that is showing how AMC is getting suppressed. And we talked about is the fact that shorts want to suppress AMC and doesn't want them to go over $3. But obviously apes have a different way of viewing it, you can see, but I love buying and hoarding AMC shares under $3. If I have to wait for the payoff, so be it. And we've talked about this for a very long time. The shorts believe and thinks that if they are able to push AMC down, they will somehow convince all of the retail to sell their shares. However, it's obviously created a different effect where the further they push AMC down, the more discounted the apes view AMC as, and obviously are wanting to buy more. And that's why we put shorts in a very bad position. And once again, you can see it from this particular data point, and we talked about this. This is only talking about the shares that are unsettled in the DTCC, and we talked about over 555 million shares, with the notional value of all these shares unsettled coming in at 9.6 billion. Now, the interesting thing about this is the average combined prices of all shares held, which is 872. So what you'll find is that for this 555 million unsettled shares, these short positions, it comes at an average price of 872. And we've talked about this. If you shorted the AMC at $8.72 and nevertheless at these amounts, you are obviously in profit with your positions right now. Again, anyone who have a basic understanding will know if someone shorted AMC at 870 and AMC at currently at 290, these short positions will be in profit. And so it is in their best interest, especially knowing with how the industry is going, with how AMC is projected, that you should cover your short positions and obviously take the profit. Because if you're not taking profit, you're looking at AMC rebounding. And we've seen how AMC has rebounded in the past, meaning that they're likely to lose hundreds of millions of dollars of profit. But not only that, every day they're holding onto these short positions, they are also financing the short position. So it's also another maintenance cost it is to them. And so it is in their best interest to cover these positions. Yet despite that, despite how much money they've made, they're not closing out these positions. And they're constantly trying to suppress AMC to not let it go over $3. So we can obviously understand from that they are trapped with these positions, they are trapped to these shares, and it's why we've talked about with how shorts are obviously scared of AMC and why they can't afford anything to happen to AMC. They can't even afford AMC to go above max pain because of all the shares that are trapped. And this is what we talked about with these are just a portion of the full amount that's unsettled. These are just showing the shares that are unsettled in DTCC. It's not talking about all of these other swaps, FTDs, synthetic tokenizations, and so many more. And that's why we've said that the situation is a lot bigger than everyone thinks. And then you can take a look at this. So the current, what's booming for AMC has obviously been the Taylor Swift film. You can see we salute the iconic Taylor Swift for bringing her brilliance and magic to movie theaters this weekend. Her cinematic vision was #1 at the box office. What an honor and privilege and joy for AMC theaters to once again play a role in another of her incomparable triumphs. And so this is the result of Taylor Swift and her new film. And we've said not only is this extremely good for the box office, but this is also good for the AMC film distribution. But the things that you'll find that's odd with this, it's how the market is reacting. You can see anyone noticing anything odd with this screenshot. So what you can see is Taylor Swift's the official release party of a showgirl tops box office with $33 million. Now, what's interesting about this is obviously not only is this good for the box office because of how much it has obviously grossed or what this has brought to the box office, but you also have to understand is that the company behind the release of this is AMC Film Distribution. So normally when a movie does very well, it's good for AMC because AMC benefits from that box office. But this particular film with Taylor Swift, not only is it good for the box office, but it's also good directly for AMC as well because of the recognition, because of the company behind it. Yet despite that, we're seeing AMC down 3.76%. And so you can clearly see the manipulation and suppression that it's going on. I don't think it takes a genius to work it out that if a company, after releasing a film and seeing it do extremely well and tops the current box office, I don't think you should see it go down, especially not 3.76 or what we saw here, 5.23%. And so this is why we've said that they feel the constant need to suppress, and we are seeing how it is affecting them. If you really want to take a look at in terms of the daily grosses, you can see Friday 15 million, Saturday 9.9, Sunday 8.3. This is how well it was doing. And this was shown for 3,702 locations. And now this is just a thing to show in terms of how much presence AMC is having, in terms of how much impact AMC is having, and yet the market is showing something else. And with that, we've already said, this whole point of fundamental investing, this whole point of technical investing has all been thrown out the window because of the suppression. But it doesn't take away from the fact that AMC is of course undervalued. And then when you take a look at how brokers are feeling, like, you will see why it's obviously a problem, because you can see here breaking tens of thousands of Robinhood users are reportedly unable to access their accounts amidst an outage after the AMD surge. So today, OpenAI has signed a contract with AMD, which has made AMC boom. We saw it pre-market up over 33%. And this supposedly caused an error for Robinhood users. Now, the thing about this is that Robinhood are a broker whose main priority, their breaking point, their selling point was to the retail. Yet when something happens that is allowing retail to benefit, they suddenly have an outage. And you can even see here, this is the reason they have an outage today. And the coincidence about this is that it's on the same day NYSE approved GameStop warrants. And so the thing about this is that there has been too many coincidences now. We've always talked about this. Every time something happens, whether it's a mutual short seller of AMC or GME getting margin called, suddenly you're seeing these glitches happening for AMC, for GME. We've seen multiple times when something happens, when something happens to institutions, we see how the market cap for AMC changes. We see how the shares outstanding for AMC changes. And these always happens when another factor is involved. And today, what we're looking at is as NYSE approves GameStop's warrants, we're seeing how there is suddenly a system outage for Robinhood nonetheless. So you can obviously see what's happening. And this is what we talked about with how you really can't trust these guys anymore. How you know that the more FUD we see, the more retaliation, the more of these suppression, the more of these outages we're seeing from the brokers who are against AMC, from the institutions who are against GME, the more we know that we are on the right path and that we are being these short sellers. Now, as always, this is financial advice, so do take a class again of salt. Make sure to do your own due diligence and research, and I'll catch you guys next time.